Welcome inside Bojangles Coliseum. The Charlotte Checkers playing host to the Bridgeport Islanders for a pair of games this weekend. Welcome inside Checkers Pregame Live. My name is TJ Chillot. This is Brian Suarez from the Sports Recap Show on WAME Radio. Boy, we're going to take a look back at the past two games here at the Boplex. The Checkers sneaking out some big wins over the Springfield Thunderbirds. We're also going to get you some highlights from those games, as well as preview the Bridgeport Islanders series coming up with a couple of players that we're going to keep our eyes on, plus our Hendrick Acura keys to the game. And Brian, when you think back to the last two games, Tuesday and Wednesday here at the Boplex, what was the first thing that kind of just jumps off the page at you, and what do you see from that game?
So on Tuesday night, what I see is goals in clusters for both teams. In the first period, there were 3 goals scored in 59 seconds. In the second period, 2 goals in 1:31, and in the third period, 2 goals in 2 minutes and 6 seconds.
You know what, and those cluster goals are things that are enough to give coaches, I think, a little bit of a heart attack. You know, just when you think you take the lead and then all of a sudden they rip it back, particularly on that Tuesday game. The Checkers jump out to a 1-0 lead, and then after a minute later, all of a sudden they're losing 2-1, you know, and I think that kind of really sticks in coaches' craws a little bit. But props to the Checkers, because my point is both of those games, whether it was Tuesday, whether it was Wednesday, they managed to battle their way back. On Tuesday, they ended up forcing overtime, win it in the shootout. Then on Wednesday, they go ahead and win it with 1 minute left to go in regulation. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and take you back to Tuesday. Let's take a look at our great clips highlights. Tuesday, your final score 5-4 by way of the shootout. The Checkers getting a couple of goals in the game from Hovorka, Megna, Ben Steeves, and Rasmus Asplund. For Steeves and Asplund, that would be their first in the 2-game set. Each one of those players would go on and score again on Wednesday. Ken Appleby, great in goal, turning aside 25 of the 29 shots that he saw, but more importantly, was a perfect 3 for 3 in the shootout. Ultimately, it was John Leonard. He was the only shooter in that shootout that got the victory or found the back of the net to help the Checkers get their victory on Tuesday. And of course, this vaunted power play doing so well, 1 for 3 in the game. Their penalty kill also going 3 for 4. Special teams, a huge key for the Charlotte Checkers team on Tuesday. The next night, I thought we would get a little bit different. I thought these two teams, you know, having played a full 60 minutes plus against each other the night before, I thought they were going to settle in and it was going to be a little bit different of a game, maybe a 2-1 final, something like that. No, instead, final score 4-3. Let's go ahead and roll the highlights to Wednesday night's game. 4-3 is your final against the Springfield Thunderbirds. Oliver Okuliar with a great individual effort to get things started in the scoring. Asplund, his second goal of the series. Steeves would get his second goal of the series. And the biggest goal of them all, on a double minor power play, the Charlotte Checkers would get one from Wilmer Skoog with 59 seconds left to go in the third period as the Checkers take the victory. Chris Drieger, great in goal, 25 of 28. The power play, 2 for 7 in that contest, including that Skoog goal, which ultimately helped the Checkers to victory. They were 3 for 3 on the penalty kill in total. And really, Brian, it was just a complete win both of those nights against Springfield.
Yeah, they fell behind and faced adversity, but they didn't give up, right? Come back from a 3-1. They were trailing 3-1 after the second period. Come back in that third period, scored 2 late goals, and came back to win.
And you talk about adversity. I mean, that kind of could be this team's first name with all of the injuries that are running throughout the locker room. They just keep finding ways to win. But let's flip the script. Let's take a look now at the upcoming games this weekend against Bridgeport. This is a team coming in. They're going to be hungry. They've lost their last 8 games. They only have 1 point in those 8 games. They always play the Checkers well. When you look forward to this series, what are you expecting to see?
Well, the Checkers have played well against them so far this year, won all 4 games. The goaltending for the Checkers has been excellent against Bridgeport at a .938 save percentage and a 1.55 goals against. The thing is, Bridgeport's going to have to stay out of the penalty boxes. They're not very good in penalty killing, but they have given the Checkers several power plays in the 4 games that they've already played this year.
They're not great at killing the penalty, but you have to always be careful with them because they do have Brian Pinho, who leads the league in shorthanded goals. So there's a little bit of a double-edged sword there. The Checkers, they have not surrendered a lot of shorthanded goals this year, so they just kind of got to be on top of that. But I truly think you're right. It's going to be a tough series for Charlotte, no matter what.
Without a doubt. And speaking of Pinho, he scored 14 out of Bridgeport's 70 goals for the year. That's 20%. Keep him off the scoreboard.
Exactly. So that's going to certainly be a player that you're going to want to make sure that you pin down as best you can. In addition to that, let's go ahead and jump in to my Hendrick Acura keys to the game. Number one, no time to rest. And I think Brian and I kind of got that sentiment across already. Just because this team has been struggling coming in, and just because you have the holiday break coming up on the other side of these two games does not mean you can lay back in this series. Yes, the Checkers have won all of the games against Bridgeport so far this year, but this is the American Hockey League. Anyone can win on any given night, and it's going to start right here tonight. Bridgeport's going to come in angry. They're going to look for their first win. The Checkers, this is not time to rest. Number two, remain calm. And what I mean by that is simply, with all these injuries going on, this is not the time to necessarily try and grip the stick too tightly. If you're a top scorer for the Charlotte Checkers roster, if you're a guy like Rasmus Asplund or a Kyle Criscolo or an Oliver Okuliar or any one of the guys who have been doing so well as of late, this is not the time to sit back and think it's on me or it's not going to get done, because that kind of thinking is what's going to put this team in a hole. Trust your teammates. Trust everything that's going on. Put faith in the system. You'll be fine. Just remain calm. And number three, they've got to be aggressive on the PK. We touched on it a little bit here just moments ago about how good the Checkers are on the penalty kill. They have Rasmus Asplund with a pair of shorthanded goals this year. Patrick Giles as well with a shorthanded goal or two on the season. The Checkers got to be aggressive on that PK to make sure that they can really stick Bridgeport into a corner. So those are my Hendrick Acura keys to the game. No time to rest, remain calm, and be aggressive on the penalty kill. So Brian, when you look forward at the players, we kind of named a handful of them so far. Who are you keeping your eye on this weekend?
So this weekend, I'm going to keep my eye on Oliver Okuliar. This is his first season, professional season in North America. And I think now he's kind of gotten used to it. He's been playing professional hockey in Europe. I think it's a different game over there. There's not as much physicality over there as there is here. And I think he's getting used to it now. And you can see his play improving. He's starting to score a little bit better. And speaking of scoring, he played the Lethbridge in the Western Hockey League several years ago and had 33 goals in 55 games. So I'm going to watch him tonight and tomorrow, and we'll see. I think you're going to see a lot out of him in the next two games.
Yeah, and not only is it more physical in the North American game, but you also have the smaller rink, so it's going to throw everybody even closer, and it's going to be even more physical that way. My player to watch in this one, Kyle Criscolo. He still leads this team in goals, and though he's been a little quiet on the score sheet as of late, he's had some good success against Bridgeport this season. I think this is just the series for him to break out and kind of accept the role. It seems like we're getting scoring in bunches from across the lineup. You know, right now it's Steves and Asplund and Okular that are doing so well. Now it's going to be time for someone else to step up. I think it's going to be Criscolo. We're going to see Leonard, I think, get involved a little bit more too as well, in addition to his shootout goal on Tuesday night. So who's the next wave? You know, and if you can keep getting scoring in waves, no matter who it is, you know, throw in a Carrick here and there or throw in a Kierstead or something, I think that's truly what makes a strong team.
Well, to your point, against Bridgeport this year, the Checkers have scored 19 goals. 10 different players have scored a goal against them.
It's fantastic. I mean, that shows you that the system is working. The team just has to trust. You know, can you win an entire Calder Cup with a bunch of guys that are talented role players? I think you can. And I think this Charlotte Checkers team, they have more than talented role players. They are a very, very strong team. So, one more time, Oliver Okuliar is your guy.
He's my guy.
Kyle Criscolo is my guy. What do you think final score here tonight on Saturday is going to be?
I'm going to go with 4-1.
4-1. You know, I'm with you. I'm with you. I don't know that it'll be exactly 4-1. I think it's going to be 5-2. I think Bridgeport's going to get one more, but I do think the Checkers are going to handle Bridgeport here in this one rather easily, but you never know. Again, that's one of my keys. This is not time to rest. Don't overlook that Bridgeport team, but I do think that the Checkers are going to handle this one a little bit with ease. Tomorrow could be a totally different story, but I agree with you there. For those of you out there watching, tuned in on Twitter, on YouTube, on Facebook Live, if you don't have your tickets yet, the Stanley Cup is in the building. It is about 500 feet to my left. It is hanging out. Get your tickets, charlottecheckers.com. Get on out here tonight. Check out the Stanley Cup. It'll be involved in some on-ice celebrations and all kinds of good stuff throughout the entire night. It's Neon Night, presented by the Kevin Harvick Foundation. Neon Night, the Checkers will be wearing custom jerseys that are available for bid up on auction right now. charlottecheckers.givesmart.com. You can also bid on some awesome packages that were put together by the players like Zach Dalpe and Trevor Carrick, including some autographed information, autographed memorabilia, I should say, and so much more. So get on out here. Have fun with us this weekend. That's Brian Suarez from WAMRE Radio. I'm TJ Chillot from the Charlotte Checkers. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll talk to you next time for Checkers Pregame Live. Charlotte and Bridgeport coming up.